to halftime. We're in Glastonbury, Connecticut at Elite Muscle Mechanics, a place that, as you'll find out, means a lot to me in terms of my physical health. We're here with Josh, the owner. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. My name is Josh Lewbel. I'm the owner of Elite Muscle Mechanics, and we've been here in Glastonbury since 2010, and I've been practicing here in town since 2006. I started my company with the idea that I wanted to give people an alternative to moving better, feeling better, and helping people that have kind of fallen by the wayside where traditional, let's say, physical therapy has rejected their insurance claims now,
Right.
or chiropractic isn't quite specific enough for their issues. So we focus on the muscular system, 544 muscles of the body, and from fingers to toes to shoulders and everything in between.
Yeah.
And so our job is to identify weaknesses that are impairing your movement, getting in the way of your health, and to provide people with an avenue and a path forward for aging better and living a healthier lifestyle.
So, a couple things. When I found you, I think it was through a Facebook ad actually.
Yeah.
That I didn't know what I was looking for. I was looking for a chiropractor, somebody to help me with the stiffness that I had in my hip and my shoulder and my back. Just feeling like I wasn't the same. How is this different than um, going to a chiropractor?
Sure. Well, for one, our specialty is in the muscular system.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at a little bit different of a viewpoint. So a lot of traditional modalities or therapies say, well, you got tight stuff. You need to stretch out the tight stuff. Whereas we're looking at tightness as a protective thing.
Mm.
And it's protecting from weaknesses in other places or close by
Right.
to where your tightnesses are. And so by addressing the weaknesses and the underlying cause for the tightness, we can get longer lasting results that either you can reinforce later on your own, or we see people for regular visits when they need tune-ups.
Yeah, I mean, my experience definitely illustrates that in a couple ways. One, I know I'll come in terms of that protective piece, right? I'll come in and say, my right shoulder's been bothering me, but that's not the one that usually bothers me. It's usually my left. And, working with Luanne and figure out that, my body's compensating, right? And so now my right's trying to do all the work. It's really insightful in terms of understanding how your body works,
Yeah.
right? We veer off a little bit because I think it's important. I know when I came in, uh, there was a quality of life issue, right? I wasn't feeling very well physically, and so that started to affect me mentally. Like, if you're used to being strong and agile and feeling pretty healthy, and all of a sudden you don't, or over time you realize you don't, that makes a difference. Have you seen that with a lot of your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's most people don't start making changes until their quality of life starts to suffer. They might have some red flags here and there, but it's really the quality of life piece that people are looking for.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it can be as simple as just feeling better.
Yeah.
If you've had a diminished quality of life for a long time, not only do you need to feel better, but you need to take some baby steps to allow your body to prove to you that it's safe to go do things again.
Very true.
And so oftentimes we'll run into those kinds of issues, especially as people get a little bit older or they've had major surgeries. It can be a scary thing to try to move forward without somebody to say, hey, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And
So speaking about age, is there a certain age group that you work with the most?
I would say nearing retirement.
Okay.
or into retirement. We do get a fair number of younger athletes, but they tend to heal great
They
and
heal
move
quick.
faster. Yeah. But yeah, I would say close to retirement when people are thinking about what is the next 20 years going to look like? What is the next 30 years going to look like?
How long do people usually engage? Is it an ongoing thing, or do they kind of, their issues get solved and they go?
Everyone's a little bit different. If for people whose issues aren't that serious, we might give them some tools in place to keep themselves good and say, "Hey, call us." If things go awry and you can't get yourself on track. Or whereas others, here's something I always say: everybody who comes through that door has a story to tell, and we got some pretty deep stories coming in.
Yeah.
I spoke to a woman yesterday, and she'd torn multiple muscles in her feet, and her life's been just dwindled down to no activity in the last 6 years because of it.
I can see that.
And she's just stuck and needs a path moving forward. So someone like that, where they've had significant damage to body parts,
Yeah.
they might need ongoing maintenance, especially as you get older,
Right.
which is now you're fighting age in addition to injury. So yeah.
Do people come and kind of look at you guys as the fixer, um, and maybe don't experience as much progress because of that? I know that I got inspired from feeling better to get back to being active and all those things.
Yeah.
Do you find that people kind of end up in the same situation because they don't follow up?
That's a good question. A good number of people, I would say, have been down the road enough
Got it.
where they know that if they don't follow up, this is just keep gonna be an issue for them because that's how it's been their whole lives.
Right.
That's probably 75% of our clientele is,
Right.
they're not able to necessarily take those steps on their own and be like, you know what, I can get back to things and I'll be
Right.
okay. But certainly, we always try to show people how this isn't just for restoring right now.
Yeah.
This is about your physical freedom for the next 25, 30 years in
Yeah.
life.
Right.
On my Monday schedule, I have 5 people who are an hour each who are all 80 and above.
Oh wow.
And they're doing what they want to do. They go out kayaking, they go out walking for long distances, and that's their part of their plan to stay healthy is to be able to do those things.
Yeah, that's an important piece. I'm going to get back to that. I know that there's different kind of phases or programs pathways that folks get on when they come here. Can you explain, um, the difference between what goes on here on the table versus out with some of the machines, things like that? I know you have different groups.
Yeah. So when people first start out, we have to find the broken pieces first.
Yeah.
So virtually everybody who comes in, we're going to start with working on the table, making sure their joints are moving properly and their muscles can contract properly. That's a baseline need for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's when those things stop happening that you start diminishing your quality of life.
Right.
So once people have a solid foundation, then we can transition over into working out. We've got 2,000, 1,500 square feet worth of exercise equipment. Not unlike you'd see at a gym, but we got a couple of unique things that you probably haven't seen at regular gyms.
Okay.
But the main goal of every exercise that we implement for people is to diminish risk as much as possible.
Right.
Because a lot of exercise, especially if you go to traditional gyms, can have an element of risk.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what we try to do is make that as small as possible and maximize your benefits.
That's great. So now I'm going to circle back to your clients that are 80 and above and they're kayaking and they're doing all these things and being active in life. Let's start within Elite. What are you doing to build community? And I see, I keep track, I get the newsletter. I see, lots of different initiatives and challenges and things like that. How are you building community in here? Why is that important?
I think it's important because one of the main drivers for people in their long-term health and activity is to be able to be um, social.
Right.
We be it through sports or family or vacationing together. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And just being able to be active with grandkids. So what we do is try to give people the tools and the physical capabilities to open up the world, so the things they can do with other people aren't limited.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's important. And then I don't know if anybody ever, put you in this category, but I would put you in the category. I've talked to a lot of people in this category of a healer, right? And healers are important for communities. Um, how have you seen your position in the community um, become more important?
That's a good question.
Or have you? I mean, maybe we don't always know what impact we're having.
You know, I see it in families.
Okay.
Um, One of the things I really love, and I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but I think it's kind of one of the things that you're speaking of is I really love when I see multiple people in a family
Okay.
and they come in, a husband and wife, let's say,
Yeah.
and they say, you know what? We have real conversations now. We're not just talking about my sore legs, my achy knees, and my back that's been killing me.
Right.
They're having real conversations again
That's great.
versus just complaining to each other about all their ailments.
Right.
That to me is a huge win. And when we see extended family members come in, I think it's funny. One of the things I see the way our practice has grown has been all referral virtually. I ran those ads that you found in for a very short time for about a year because I wanted to see what we could do with that. But primarily for the last 20 years we've grown it organically.
Right.
And so we might get one person in Cromwell, and then they refer their friend in Hartford, who refers their friend over in South Windsor.
Right.
And so, even though we're in Glastonbury, most of our clientele is in a 2 to 3 hour radius. And so,
but it's got to feel good to be driven by referral. That means you're doing good work.
Yeah.
I referred a colleague here as I watched her limp down the stairs.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should go over there. So that's good.
Yeah. So as a healer, I think just by word of mouth, seeing the results people get and knowing that, hey, if I refer my friend, I feel comfortable that they're going to help them out.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel interacting with you guys doesn't feel impersonal. It feels very personal, right? So that's a good. I think that makes an effect as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this two kind of hard questions, kind of weird questions I ask everybody, and we've already kind of touched on this, but how do you feel like you feed the people? It's a concept I personally live by. It's part of this project. How do you feel like you feed the people?
Can I first say that I don't feel like I feed them enough? Like
You can absolutely say that.
every person who comes in here, it's so important for me to be able to help them.
Right.
But then I think about how many more people are still out there. And so you've seen me start to create some initiatives and stuff online, virtually. I'm trying to reach more people because I know they can benefit. So always striving to feed more people to improve their health, their exercise, and their physical freedom. Those are our three kind of objectives. So I think those three things, and being able to reach more people with that message is what we do.
I think the fact that you don't feel like you feed them enough is an indication of your integrity as a healer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's important. And then the last weird one. This does not have to do with your practice. It can. But what's your favorite sound?
Man, my favorite sound. That's actually, that's a great question. I love that. My favorite sound is the quiet wind when you're sitting on the top of Mount Washington is the one that comes to mind. You can't hear anything but the wind. To me, it's very spiritual and a time to just take it in, because there's nothing else like it in modern society when we're with cars and phones and everything else.
That's a unique one. I'm glad you shared that. I have to break my protocol and not have that be the last question, because I want you to talk about. I'm fascinated by the flat shoes, and we had a conversation at once, because my very first issue was something with my feet. I don't know if it's plantar or whatever. Yeah. It just hurt. But you were talking about why our shoes are doing damage to us. Can you explain that? Because people don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, so, geez, I don't know where to start with that. Sitting in a biomechanics class, you learn what the foot should do. Yeah. It's got 55 joints in it. It is designed to move a lot. Joints move. And it is designed to provide freedom and give you the ability to move side to side and twist and go up and down. And when I see people with inability to go downstairs or climb up a small hill, I'm thinking about what their feet can't do. So the first thing we always look at is making sure their bones and muscles and joints can do those things. And once they can, we look at the shoes. Shoes have traditionally been made in the last 20, 30 years. You'll notice a rise in the heel and a drop by the toe. And so they're built in a wedge. So we're all walking around in high heels, which is not how we were walking around when we had a tiny piece of sandal 200, 300 years ago. Yeah. And certainly not when we were walking around in our heels and bare feet, across normal flat ground. Right. So we weren't designed to walk with a heel. And that changes everything going up the chain. And the other thing that's kind of changed over the years with footwear is they make them kind of an a pointed elf shape. Yep. And if you look at a normal foot, it's not built that way. A normal foot kind of splays out a little bit, but we wear these shoes from the time we're born, and they don't splay like that. There's been studies done on indigenous people in South America, for example, who haven't been exposed to modern society, and their feet, they look like this. And their feet are adaptive, they're mobile, they're tough, but are also resilient and strong. And our modern shoes take us away from those things. And one of the things as we get older is it's often the advice to make sure you wear more sturdy shoes. Yeah. Make sure you're they become this giant cinder block on your foot almost.
With the insert and all, yeah.
I had the woman come in yesterday, and her shoe was pretty good. It could bend and flex a little bit. It had a little bit of a heel, and I put those on her. She's 81, very active, does agility drills with her dogs. Yeah. And she put these things on that are flat and allow her foot to move. And she said, I love these. It almost lights her up. And she's like, I can go heel to toe and it feels normal. So
here's my question. I just turned 50. And that's why we call this halftime. If I've been wearing those shoes, the high heels, as you said, 50 years, right? How long would it take to feel the effects? Well, can you reverse the effects of wearing the wrong shoes?
You can't change how your foot's shaped to a degree. You might. I've seen plenty of people tell me after wearing the shoes and getting muscle work with us, say, my foot's gotten a little smaller because my arch is bigger, or my foot's flattened out because now it's stronger and can pronate better.
Right.
So I have seen to a degree people's feet shape change a little bit.
Yeah.
I would also add to that it's incredibly important that you're doing the right exercises, because if your feet been like that for 50 years, they might need a little help and support taking you the next 50.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. All right, I appreciate you talking to me. This is halftime.
For me? Any impairment there or pain?
No pain. It feels a little tight, but
Let me see you go to the right.
there's a little pain there.
So a little pain going to the right.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you actually could turn your head about 80 degrees to this side, but you only went about 60 on that side. So what we found is an inability to contract some of the shoulder blade muscles. So we're just stimulating them with a manual technique. Okay. Turn your head.
Oh, wow.
Did that feel better?
That's
You
that's
just
crazy.
turned all the way there. Turn your head to this side. Even better. Push in. There you go. Cool. Turn right. How's that feel?
Good. Pain's going over here.
Nice.
Yeah, it feels good.
There you go.
Nice.
Come on up.